70 years before Magellan, Islam was already planted here. Nandito na yung mga evangelist. So when Spain said, kunin ko pati Mindanao, and I would call the Forefathers.
Ang dokumentaryong ito ay ginawa sa pangunguna ng Mercy Islamic Foundation sa layuning iparating sa mga tao ang tungkol sa katotohanan ng kasaysayan ng Islam sa Pilipinas. Na ang Islam ay ang relihiyon ng ating mga ninuno at kung paano sila dumating, namuno at nawala sa kapangyarihan sa ating bansa. Pinamagatan namin itong Call of Our Forefathers upang mabatid ng ating mga kababayan ang mga ikinubli sa ating kasaysayan at malaman natin ang panawagang pangkultura at paniniwala ng ating mga ninuno. Maraming salamat at samahan niyo po kami sa paglalakbay tungo sa ating kasaysayan.
Quote, "No Philippine history can be complete without a study of Muslim development." Unquote. This is according to Professor Renato Constantino in his book entitled A History of the Philippines, From the Spanish Colonization to the Second World War. For us ordinary citizens, we often ask ourselves, how come we're identified as Filipinos? Aren't we curious about the diverse culture, traditions, beliefs, and languages of over 170 dialects that characterize this archipelago? Yet, despite the differences, where are the commonalities? How can we say to ourselves, I am a true Filipino? Who are we? How did we live before the arrival of Western colonizers? Where was our place of origin? These are but a few questions that we seek to address. My name is Juni Gamboa. Please join us in this documentary film entitled The Call of Our Forefathers, a brief history of Islam in the Philippines. In 1925, Professor Henry Oatley Bayer, head of the Anthropology Department at the University of the Philippines, conceived what would popularly be known as the theory of migration. And this was widely accepted by scholars for several decades.
Yung teorya ng migration sa Pilipinas ay marami ang gumawa nito. Isa na si H. Oatley Bayer. Tapos meron din sarili si Robert Fox, si F. Landau Cano, of course si Evangelista, and now si Peter Bellwood, Dr. Peter Bellwood, whom I work with. Kasama ko si Bellwood na naghukay sa Batanes. The earliest theory na pinropose ni H. Oatley Bayer, migration theory, diffusionist. At ang sinasabi niya, merong 3 waves of migration nga na galing sa south from the Java man. Inisip niya na yung Java man, which is a Homo erectus, lumakad through land bridges sa Pilipinas. At kasabay nito yung mga megafauna tulad ng elephas, stegodon, giant turtle, rhinoceros, naglakad din through land bridges.
Bayer's long years of archaeological research dwelt on retrieving facts of past cultures in the islands, mainly from artifacts, bones, and other remains. His findings shed light on the cultural, political, economic existence, and even the beliefs of people. Other scientists who also did some research on the subject stir some doubts on Bayer's assumption, claiming that it was flawed by inadequate evidences, dubious methodology, and pure speculation.
Pero ito ay hindi na napatunayan bandang huli. Hindi naman pala tayo connected ng land bridges between China and Indonesia sa Pilipinas. It was very late kung magkakaroon man ng land bridge dito lang sa bandang Palawan at Borneo. Ito yung dumating na si Robert Fox, nakita yung Tabon Man. Doon sa Tabon Man, may posibilidad talaga na naglakad siya from Borneo, Sabah, to Palawan.
Angel Bautista, acting assistant director of the National Museum of the Philippines, explains in general the development of archaeological studies in the country.
Ang pag-uusapan natin ay yung Philippine cultural chronology, ibig sabihin yung periodization ng ating cultural periods dito sa Pilipinas. At may 4 na proponents na very popular in the field ng Philippine archaeology. Sila si Professor Otley Bayer, nandiyan si Dr. Fox, si Dr. Hocano, at si Dr. Solheim. So, based dun sa mga studies nila, si Otley Bayer ay nagsabi regarding migration. Sinabi rin niya ni Dr. Solheim and also Dr. Fox. So, basically, pwede nating ma-divide ang cultural chronology based dun sa mga studies nila into Paleolithic, Neolithic, Metal Age, Age of Trade, at Historic Period. So, ito yung 5 basic cultural chronology ng Pilipinas.
The pre-Islamic social structure was not as rigid as that of the caste system of India, where no one was allowed to leave the caste into which he was born. It has 3 classes. First are the datus, or the chieftain. The word datu was both a political function and social status that extended to the incumbent ruler and all members of the ruling elite. Generally, the right to rule depends on direct descent from the ruling class. Second are the commoners or citizens. A commoner could become a datu if he displays exceptional bravery or victory in war. Last are the slaves. A slave could buy off his or her liberty by paying a stipulated amount.
Nalalaman natin ang social stratification based doon sa mga burial sites, no? Especially about 1,000 years ago hanggang 14th century. Ma-stratify natin o malalaman natin ang social stratification based dun sa mga goods associated sa burial. So, for example, sa Butuan, may nakikita dyan ng mga burial sites na may mga dug-out coffins, and dug-out coffins, merong iba ay may cranial reformation. Yung cranial reformation was a cultural practice in the past. Ang main objective was to deform the frontal bone and the backbone of the skull. So, to make them different. And these skeletons na may mga deformed skull ay associated sa mga precious objects like tradeware ceramics, even gold implements, gold objects, and also some precious belongings ng tao. So, nasa coffin sila. But there are also evidences na yung ordinary na binabalot lang ng banig, there is an evidence doon sa Butuan, pero ang skull niya is normal. So, may social stratification na about 1,000 years ago hanggang 14th century.
The economy was based primarily on agriculture and trade, although weaving, pottery making, blacksmithing, and fishing were also prevalent. Slash and burn or swidden farming was popular in the uplands, especially in the dry season.
During that period, mga 14th century, no, ang way of life nila is primarily dito sa mga coastal areas, actually trading. Especially dito sa Mindanao and also in Visayas and also even in Manila. So primarily trading. Pero based doon naman sa evidences, naghahunt pa rin sila kasi doon sa mga archaeological o zooarchaeological na nakukuha namin, may nakukuha kaming mga buto ng mga deer. So they are also involved in hunting. Yung primarily cultivation, kasi ito rin ang isa sa mga characteristic ng age of trade, yung cultivation. Walang masyadong evidence ang cultivation of plants and even animals. Mostly mga wild pa, so they involved in hunting and trading and food gathering.
The colorful epic and unfolding historical saga of Islam will tell us that we, both Muslims and non-Muslims, can come to terms to achieve peace and harmony in the Philippines. Tolerance and mutual respect is the key to this effort. Assalamu alaikum.